What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Pod Scum. I am, of course, your host, your bastard of ceremonies, Reckless Rexx Ruger. That, if you couldn't tell by the front chompers, is, of course, the Freddie Mercury puppet. We got another kick-ass episode. My guest is here, so we are getting down to chopping it up ASAP. For all of you that don't know, that's quick. Getting down to the brass tacks with my man. And we'll get him in here. Un momento. I hope. And there he is. What's up, man?
What's up, brother? How we doing today?
Oh, man, it's good to have you on here, man. Much better now that you're here, man. I look at you guys, man, and I've made this comment before, man. You guys are like the Cavaleras, that is, are like the Partridge Family of metal, man. I love the fact that you guys go out and you keep it all so family. You know what I mean? I've been out to see you guys. I think I saw Max was out doing the nail bomb thing a couple years ago, man, and you were working the merch table. You know, your brothers are in the band, man. It really is ingrained in the Cavalera family, man. I mean, you guys are all just metal through and through.
Yeah, we are. I mean, I definitely think it obviously starts with our mom and dad. You know, I think they brought that culture and environment into our life, like, you know, from the moment we come out at the shoot, you know. So
right.
it was just something that was you know, you fall in love with as you're a real little kid. You're seeing it and you're feeling all this stuff that's going on, and you know, before you know it, every one of us in bands or some part of the music scene, you know, I just think it's not like anything else in the world, you know. Especially metal. You know, I think the fans, the metalheads, the culture, everything is just so just homey feel, you know. It truly feels like a family. I know it's cliche, but I think we all kind of have that connection that we all share.
And when you're growing up Cavalera, man, and because because everything that Max puts his fingerprint on is just you know, always such kick-ass projects that he does, man. When you're growing up, man, I might go without saying, but it might be somebody else. So is he the main musical influence on you? Are there other musical? I mean, obviously, watching Max do what he does while you're growing up is got to make some kind of an impact on you. But has he the most influence on you?
I mean, definitely through the later years, you know, I think me, you know, I'm the oldest. So a lot of the early days, you know, it was just Gloria and the band she was working with before Max was even in our world or in our picture. You know, right. Gloria was, you know, she's the most metal person in the world. I don't care what anybody tells me that. You know, she has truly been a head for metal and the music community and a whole, man. Like, you know, when I was little, man, she would have, you know, Nuclear Assault would be sleeping on the couch. You know, Sacred Reich, Jason, Rainey living in our guest room. You know, it was never not music and metal, and you know, it just was such a cool experience to feel that as a little kid, you know, just all these crazy looking people, but they're all so nice and fun, and you know, just became family. Like Danny Loker, you know, he's still family from 1980s to now. And so many of these other people. And you know, then I think, you know, once, you know, my mom started working with Sepultura, and you know, Sacred Reich at the time was really taking off, and you know, Sepultura just kind of took it to that next level. And then Max coming in and being just the coolest human, you know, it was like he was meant to be in our family, and we were meant to be with him, you know. And it's just been incredible ever since. And getting to be there in the early days of like Sepultura blowing up, and you know, seeing the shit he went through and the collapse of the band, and then restarting all these other bands, that's where the influence comes to me, is the hard work, the dedication, the love, the passion for, you know, music. And you know, you think it's going to go away in your feelings, but it never does. It just gets stronger and stronger and stronger. And I think, you know, that's been an influence that he's definitely put on us. And you know, he just lets us do our thing. And if we end up in this place of heavy metal and rocking, you know, then he's all for it.
And for people that might not know, I'm glad you're touching on on so many aspects of your mom's impact on the family, man. Because many people might not know. They see Max on the stage, they see you guys on the stage or whatever. But Gloria, your mother, Gloria Cavalera, manager, really does all the behind the scenes stuff and has been doing it for a long time. In pretty much extreme metal, sometimes you don't see a lot of female influence. It is kind of a male dominated world with exceptions, sprinkled throughout. But how did your mom, for people that don't know, how did your mother, talk a little bit about how she ends up in the extreme metal world?
Yeah, so I mean, early 80s, I think she was living in like Colorado, and one of my uncles, he came down to Phoenix, Arizona, and they didn't have a music scene or a fucking live venue or anything at that time. And my uncle wanted to start this, kind of music bar, and knew my mom knew how to run things like manager style restaurants and shit like that at the time. So he brought her out here, and the rest is history. She dived right in, man. She was meant for this. Like, next thing you know, they open a bar. It's called the Bootleggers, down in North Phoenix. First really like food, music, bar, first real heavy scene other than Oakland. At the time, there was nothing going on. Like, it was growing there. She had bands like Poison before they even were known, really. She had Faster Pussycat and Sacred Reich and Flotsam and Jetsam started in this bar. And then
so it started out with her booking. So it started out with her kind of starting to book bands first.
Yep. She was running the whole damn thing. I mean, she's cooking in the kitchen, she's cleaning the place, she's paying the band, she's cooking pot roast for the bands, she's becoming family with the crowd and the friends, and really just grew this place to where it was selling out all the nights. And she's bringing these cool bands. She's got little kids in the manager's office. Like, I was literally born in 1985, went from the hospital right into that bar. And it was go time. Rob Halford's coming in, checking out the new baby, throwing me up horns while I'm in the,
cool.
2 days old and shit.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's
that's
like,
wild.
It was nuts, man. I mean, she's a huge part of why Jason Newsted even entered Metallica. Just a huge force. Megadeth was coming to the bar, and she just really began to grow and find the passion for music at the time. And I think it was Sacred Reich eventually who asked her to do the management, because the city eventually shut the bar down because the metalheads were getting too rowdy, and Arizona was really cowboys and Indians back then, man.
Goddamn metalheads are moving in.
All the fucking long hairs came, man. The next thing the city shut it down, and she just kind of just went right into managing. Sacred Reich. Then you had Atrophy, and then I think she started to really get her bearings and the respect. So they started offering her every band that you can think of came to her, from Deftones to Mark Anthony to Papa Roach to Korn, and it just she became such a force, and a good force, a positive force, always about the people, never her own interest being her motivation. I've never seen her ever be like, fuck the music, fuck the fans, anything like that ever. It's always, we need to get the shows out to them, we need to take these shows to the farthest place, we need to do and she spends countless hours online directly talking to people, walking around. She's always on tour. You'll never see a manager ever do that, let alone put themselves out there like she does. And I couldn't have a better influence in my life than what she is and who she is and how she's been, and the things she's created for us. There's a lot of things in metal that are happening all the time that wouldn't be without her making those awesome inventions. I think the real reason you're seeing a lot of bands play full albums and old albums and all this stuff and returning to their great periods, is the things she's doing with Max and Igor, for the last 10 plus years, So I just think, damn, she's just incredible. And, I hope, the metal scene one day, acknowledges that, because she's a fucking legend.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, I've been to see Max do his thing live. I did the meet and greet thing. You see all the stuff. She's always up to her elbows in work, and I mean, a lot of people don't have a head for that kind of stuff, man. So like, it's great that to be able to find somebody like that. I mean, who's got that kind of insight into the music world, and who's that driven. I think it's her drive, a lot of it.
Oh yeah, and again, yeah, I don't think Max, would have probably made it past 1989 without her. I think she really was able to come together with him and create this incredible empire and powerhouse movement for metalheads, and just keeping it real, staying in clubs, never really worrying about being the biggest band, just always having respect and doing what you do with integrity.
Yeah. So at 4 years old, when I was digging up stuff to talk to you about and making like my notes here or whatever, and of course your face is covered up with some type of a skull mask, but that's a little you on the Atrophy album, Violent by Nature.
Yeah, man, that was actually, the first thing. Atrophy was a huge thing in my life. Like, that was the first real metal band that I kind of gravitated to, just really felt the vibe. I'm 4 or 5 years old, and the bass player's got that tattooed on his arm, and there's a photo with me and them, and I got this little leather jacket on down in Tucson at the Rock, and it was a huge moment for me to really fall in love, and really pursue what I wanted to do, because I know the Christmas after that, I asked for a little microphone, and they said I just ran around all day just screaming "Bubble Butt," by SOD back in the day. So then I found some kids in the neighborhood, and started a little band called Wicked Death. And, our first song we ever wrote was Up in Hell. And, it's cool that almost 25, 30 years later, I ended up making an album called Up in Hell based off of, my first beginning. So yeah, it's so cool. And I'm so fortunate and lucky and blessed and grateful. And I just, I've worked my fucking ass off too at the same time, which has made it even funner. I was kind of like the first metalheads, son, the next in line to kind of be thrown into the music world. There was really no one before I started. There was no one, and that was a scary time. It was a lot of, no one really knew what to do, how to market it, how anything should be, but I just knew that, like, if I just busted my ass, went from the ground up, hopped in a van, did shit my own way, asked for a tour every now and then, I would find my way in this. And almost 20 years later, still making records. It's cool to see to come all from that Atrophy album cover.
It is crazy too, man, because I did look, man. You guys did start in 2004, man. So that is crazy, man. 20 fucking plus years, man, is insane, man. But I'll get more to that later, man. But because your brothers, Igor and Zion, are both in the musical world too, growing up, like, was there any like a competitiveness amongst you guys?
I think sometimes you definitely feel that. Like, we did those like Maximum Cavalera tours, and it would be their band Lodi Kong, my band Incite, and then Soulfly. I think those had some fun vibes like that, because we were all a little younger. I want to kick your mosh pit's ass, etc. And then you want to, you want to kick the old man's ass too, the best you can. But it was always really just love and support. Just giving them pointers. I obviously understand their journey has been a little easier. I think music today accepts the children of famous rockers a little bit more than they did when I started. Now you have the Corey Taylor kids and the Metallica young kids coming out. So
I know. Makes me
I
feel old.
think it's making me feel old now too. But, it's been
I was having a pretty good day. I was having a pretty good day after you mentioning that, Richie. Thanks.
that's how I think we have always kept it just about like inspiring or pushing the other one harder. And I've always been a big fan of Zion. I think what he's done in terms of drumming over the last 5 years, where he was just like pushed into this place, but then he literally like fell in love with it, and now to me is becoming one of the best live drummers in heavy metal right now.
No doubt. Yeah.
Little Igor as well. That dude is probably the most talented guy in the whole family, more than Max, me, Gloria, anybody. He's a full-time novel writer and can play every single instrument in the whim, can learn every song in a moment's notice. So like, yeah, it's cool, man. I praise them, and I wanted to always be like a dad, big brother to them, and really just pump them up rather than try to break them down or, you know, battle them, because I want success for everybody.
And the last INCITE album was Wake Up Dead in 2022. I'm wondering, when you guys are going to go into the studio or you're going to begin writing an album, you know, speaking specifically about INCITE, what's the creative process like? Do you take the reins? Do you guys, is it very collaborative amongst all the guys in the band?
You know, with the music and everything, I always wanted, I don't want to be like the general, the guy that barks the orders. This is what you have to do. I wanted everybody in this band to feel like they're a part of it, own it. If it's theirs, it's created by them. So, you know, it all starts now, you know, starting with the last two records with Lennon, the drummer, and Lane, the guitar player. They, you know, they sit down on the internet and they pass riffs back and forth endlessly and then begin building, you know, drum tracks on it. And then once they have a good sediment to where me and Elle can understand what they're going for, then me and Elle will listen and we'll suggest changes, this part here. Because once I hear the music and I begin putting lyrics to it, you know, you seem to build a structure out of it that way. So I can go with Lennon then and take notes, and Lane, when he hears the lyrics, can upgrade his riffs. And it's kind of an ever evolving process until we finally enter the studio. Then it's like, everybody's involved, everybody's critiquing everything, everybody's hyping up everything. And, you know, I just think that creates for A, a better record, and B, a better bond between the band. You know, I learned early on that if you have one guy that takes everything, A, it's too much pressure on him, B, it's too much power in his mind, you know, and I just find this way being so much more collaborative. And, you know, that's the cool thing I think about being able to make as many records as INCITE has, is learning new processes as it goes along. And now it's so honed in. And, you know, I wish I let Lennon write earlier. I didn't even know that he was sitting on all these incredible song ideas and riffs. You know, it was like, just this explosion came out of him starting on, you know, Wake Up Dead and into the new album. I mean, him and Lane definitely went like 50-50 on all the writing of the music and everything. And it's, I mean, damn, it's been recorded and done for about 9 months, and I've never listened to an album of mine this consistently for this long and not been like, oh, I wish I could redo that. I wish I could redo that. This sucks. This is lame. No, it's like, it's still smacking me in the face. I'm still so proud of it. And it's the most hyped I've ever been to put a record out. Like it's like what we wanted INCITE to sound like since day one. And it's finally there. You know, Lane just created that final fourth piece that we had been missing for so long. Like me, Lennon, and Elle have been jamming for, you know, 13 years now. And, you know, just always we're missing that guy, you know, that shredder, that dude. And Lane brings that, and it's fun again. Like I haven't felt this fired up to like play music since, you know, I was 20 years old. So,
and so obviously you are alluding to a new INCITE album, so we will see that in 2025.
Oh yeah, I think they said they're looking at a release of end of May, early June.
Great.
First single should drop in February, and I'm gonna just say it. It's called Just a Rat. It's probably, no doubt, the baddest, heaviest riffing, kick you in the face song we've ever made. The vocal performance is insane, the guitar's insane, the riff's insane. And yeah, you know, we hooked up with new management, new record label, and everything's just really kind of finally going in the right direction. You know, I think we've battled since day one with like trying to put these pieces. We would go with too small of a record label and be screwed. We'd go with a manager that didn't give a shit. We'd go with an agent that can't get shows, you know. But I think finally it's like, that's when a band can finally like take those next levels, when the whole team is in sync, they believe in it. And this record is just it's a breath of fresh air into heavy metal. I think, you know, the scene is going great.
Is the album titled yet?
Yeah. I don't know if I could say it, but I'm gonna. When does this probably come out, you think?
Oh, I'll have this out in a day or two.
I mean, yeah, then I probably got to wait on that.
I don't want you to, I certainly don't want you to do anything that's going to jam you up. I didn't know like what you could share and what you couldn't share, but yeah, I respect that without a doubt.
It's done. They're going to put out, 5 singles from now until release. And yeah, I hope next month, I think the first video single will drop and get the ball rolling, man. It's going to be sick.
And so this is a full length album, correct? Because obviously, like the way music is released, that trend, especially post COVID, seems to have changed. Like where you're seeing a lot of singles, a lot of EPs. It almost seems like a lot of people are gun shy and almost questioning whether it's still if an LP still makes sense. You know what I mean? Because obviously, we don't have to tell you, people's attention spans have dwindled. You know what I mean? Like people don't just drop the needle on an album and let it play all the way through anymore. Sadly, but this is a full length album.
Yeah. I think, we had the mindset when COVID started to like, we want to put out 2 EPs a year, and this is a great idea. And then when you try to formulate that and writing the songs and production and all these things, it ended up being almost the same length as creating a full length record to us. So financially, what the world wants, when we put out the EP, certain media doesn't care for it. People don't really look at it even as like a real release. They just kind of shun it as like some extra music. So when we did that, we were like, damn, we actually just kind of screwed up doing this. It's like we made 5 incredible songs. We would have just put 5 dope ones with it. It would have been fucking awesome, and everybody would have went nuts.
Right.
So it's still, especially in metal, it's still needed. You need to put the full length. You need to do it just, cost, expenses, all those things. And obviously for the people out there. And we were stoked on that because it was like, we had felt like Wake Up Dead with 5 more songs would have been just an insane record where we were already heading with those songs. So I think we took that and we're like, let's just do this. Let's make it a full length. It's been almost 3 years when this one finally comes out. So it was like, we need to do something big.
And what about touring, man? Because nowadays, man, touring is such a big part of the business with the physical product not being as prevalent as it used to be. You kind of got to be out on the road. You got to be pushing the merchandise or whatever. Do you still enjoy that side of the business after doing it for as long as you have? Obviously, you kind of live like a nomad. You're in vans or buses. You're kind of leaving all your creature comforts behind for a while. It's not for everybody, I'm sure. You know what I mean? Is a part of it? Is it a part of the business you like?
I love certain aspects to it. I love the playing live. That to me is why I'm in a band. That's my favorite thing. I love that. I love vibing with the crowd, playing these songs, vibing with your bandmates and stuff. To me, that's the best part. Some of the other things get a little taxing for sure, but it's just such an experience that I haven't been burnt out of it, especially the last few years. Like we haven't toured as much as we would like to or have done in the past, but when you're trying to find a new manager, when you're trying to find all these things, you got to really be patient. And that's hard in music because patience is gone the last like 5 to 10 years. It's I need it now. If I don't do it now, I'm going to fucking be gone and no one will give a shit. But, I think if you get those patience and you do things right, you'll have better outcomes than, rushing and doing all the things we tried in the past. So I still love it. Everything about it. It's a great thing. And now I'm getting to, bring my lady out a little bit more, which is cool. And, that I think lessens some of the sad feelings you get when you're on tour for so long.
Definitely. Now, what about like, because I think people see extreme metal bands up on a stage, they see people in the band playing their respective instruments, obviously playing at a frenetic pace. There's a lot of energy during an extreme metal show. But you as the vocalist, though, man, are you somebody that ascribes to any type of voice care or warming up or any rituals? Or are you just able to just get up there and kind of belt it out?
I've never really had any training or classes or anything. I just walk up there and belt it out. Now that I'm a little more seasoned, I like to at least stretch. I'm finding as I'm getting a little older that stretching is very nice. But as far as the voice goes, no, man, drink a couple shots, maybe have a squirt of honey, and then just, you know, go for it and
Yeah.
hope it works. I quit smoking cigarettes about a year ago, so I think that's
Good for you.
helped quite a bit, you know, in terms of like not losing your voice. But man, I do everything that they teach you not to do. You know, I come off stage and I'm talking to everybody right away.
Right.
I don't sleep. I'm hanging in the van talking with the dudes. So, you know, I just recommend everybody just kind of do what works for them. And when you find that, then you just kind of stick to it and don't touch it so you don't break nothing, you know?
And what about crafting great songs, man? Like what usually typically comes to you first, or is it different all the time? Is it a line? Is it a title? Does it start with a riff?
Yeah, it'll always start with the music, and then once I hear the song, so basically once a record is done, you know, I'm pretty flushed with my emotions and things. It's like an empty cup, you know. And then as the time progresses, I'm feeling different feelings and emotions, so I begin to write things in my phone notes, you know, just like a line I thought of, or a word that was cool, or something that feels right, you know. And that builds up while they're over there constructing music, and then finally I get that music, and then I'm sifting through my notes to feel like which riff resonates to that word, or how does that emotion of that lyric part feel to this song? Does it mesh well, you know? And then once I kind of hit on my first couple lines into a song, then it just kind of flows from there. And you build, obviously, you know, you have to do the things that you have to do with the rhyming and deep words and things like that, so it evolves, you know, as you're like kind of, rather than just writing it and be like, oh, that's it, you know. Now you kind of do like work on it, you know. It's cool doing that now, because I used to just write it and be like, all right, that's what I'm doing, you know. Now it's like an artistic view of how to do it, rather than just blah, here you go, you know. So it's fun to watch it change over the years and become something that I like take way more personal, you know, because as I said, I did this because I wanted to perform live. I love firing people up. I love being like a hype guy, and then adding all this other shit into it, you know, I've learned to adapt to and grow with as the years have went by. And it's just, you know, starts with one word or one riff, and then just kind of builds.
And what's the impetus like for the lyrics, man? Like, what really gets you inspired? I.e. news, you know, movies. Are you, you know, a newspaper? I mean, like, where do you draw from, man? Like, what's the, you know, kind of the well from which you draw and get ideas from?
Dude, just daily life.
Life, like, life gives us a lot of material.
Dude, for sure.
Yeah, right.
And, you know, to top it on with like all the things our family has been through. I mean, dude, it's like, we went through enough for 100 families, you know, from murders to sisters with mental health issues, to having the largest band metal in the world at the time just collapsing in front of you over a night. You know, it's never stopped, from online harassment to old members that want to talk shit because they can't do anything in their life without us.
You
know, it's just like, it's never a shortage. Divorces, you know, it's just like it's life, man. It just
everyday life.
Up. You know, and I think we've just taken all of that, you know, my dad, me, my brothers, and that's what influences us. Definitely me, you know. I'm not really one to like write myths and storytelling and stuff like that, of like fake stuff. My lyrics and my songs, I always want to be real, that someone like Joe that listens to metal can resonate with, because it's something that's going to happen in his life, you know. That
he's gone through it.
That to me is what music was always there for me, whether it was like heartache or happiness or anger, frustration, whatever it was, there was always that song. And, you know, I think that's what I always wanted my music to be. And I think, on this one, that's what you get. You know, I think this might actually be the most positive lyrical driven record that I've made, you know, more of, rather than like killing somebody or this or that, or, you know, it was more about like, what can we do to like draw this stuff away from us and learn a new mindset of how to go forward with problems, or how to overcome things or call people out. That was kind of my focus, barring what I had been through the last couple of years. Since Wake Up Dead came out, like my whole life went boom. And
Yeah.
Starting with this record, it became so much better and positive. So that was kind of like my reflection point of like the end of this era into this new mindset, this new age, dawning of a feeling that is coming into me that I want to put out there. I think there's enough negative shit for everybody to have that a little bit of unity and coming together and taking life by the horns type of a metaphoric feel.
Now, Wake Up Dead, as you mentioned, came out a couple years ago in 2022. So for fans of INCITE, man, are they going to see? Because you were talking about, how the last couple of years, you've gone through like a lot of changes or whatever, man. So like, what will be the stark differences between Wake Up Dead and this new INCITE album, man? Like, what's happened in those 2 years? Has the sound changed, evolved? You know what I mean? Like, what can fans expect from it?
Again, I think the writing of Lennon and Lane brings a whole new dynamic to our sound, and I think man, it's such a different feel. Like it's like grown up INCITE. Like to me, it was like everything we'd done in the past, we had always been like having this thing over our head where we have to do it this specific way. It has to be this heavy. It has to be this dark,
Right.
or this direction. And this record, it was just like, man, let's do what we want to do. Let's write these songs. Let's push ourselves. We have like Lane plays piano on this record. There's more like speaking driven vocal performances. There's big choruses, and there's a solo on almost every song. I think that's an art that's disappearing in heavy metal, and I think we were just like, fuck that. We have a guy that knows how to solo to make your heart bleed and cry.
Let him. Showcase that.
Man.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we did that, and I think Lennon's performance on drums is one of the best metal drumming records I think in the last 20 years. I think people, when they hear what he's done on this album, their jaws are going to hit the floor. The dude absolutely brings every kind of influence. To me, this record was like an influence of the bands that got us there, like the Judas Priest, the Motorheads, those dudes with the fucking in your face intensity, good groove, keep your head bobbing, lyrics that make you want to scream. And I think that again too is one of the huge things on this, is the vocal performance. This is the first record where I feel like this is exactly the person that I wanted to be, sound like, and you feel that shit that I'm feeling as these words are coming out. Like it's raw, man. It's a great record. Like I don't usually give too much praise to my stuff, but this one I think it could be a huge album, and it should be.
And speaking of huge albums, man, from a fan standpoint, man, 2024 is already in the rear view, man. Speaking as a fan, man, there were some great albums came out in 2024. Are there any that particularly stuck out to you?
I did dig the new Knocked Loose album.
Yeah,
I love to see a band dropping breakdowns like that getting mainstream attention, because
they were on Jimmy Kimmel, for God's sake.
Yeah, man. And
crazy.
You know what? That kind of thing can be that doorway, like kind of how like Korn was in the early 2000s, to get people to break into that. And then when they feel that, they're like, oh, I want to go a little heavier. I want to go towards Slayer or, Overkill or something like that. So I think what those guys have done has been huge for metal as a whole, to get people to look in and see what else is out there. The new 200 Stab Wounds I thought was a great record as well.
Amazing.
Those kids, man, I've never seen a band come out that fast and kick so much ass so quick. Like they were it was destined for them to do that. And Steve is a genius, and he's keeping that band going. And dealing with member changes is never easy, but he's still holding that consistency to that band. And damn, and the guys in Florida in Body Box, I love what they're doing. Harrison, You know, he's a genius when it comes to like selling a product and making a show kind of funny. It's almost like a comedian skit with really badass breakdowns and, you know, shit like that. So metal's, you know, like I said, it's having a huge resurgence. You know, the thing that gets scary with when that happens is too many bands try to copycat that formula. So now you're kind of having almost every band doing these hard breakdowns and shit, which, you know, can create this saturation. So I think that's where we are going to step in, and we're going to be those dudes that are like, look, there's this shit and then there's this shit. Yeah. So let's put the pedal to the metal, because you can like it all. And that's the cool thing, I think, about the new age, is they're not just like, oh, I have to listen to grindcore or metalcore. They're listening to it all.
I frozen there for a minute. You there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there you go. And I'm glad you brought that up, man, because especially the metal world in particular, man, there's lots of genres and subgenres. Like, it drives me crazy. Like, when I Google you guys or whatever, you guys come up as a groove metal band. Do you buy into any of those like labels, genres, man? Do you think of INCITE as being under the umbrella of any of those genres?
No, man. At the end of the day, we're just heavy metal. Just like, you know, to me, there's rap, there's country, there's heavy metal, you know, and that's just, if you're playing anything that's got a down-tuned guitar in any type of way, or a scream or a solo, you're a metal band, you know. And I think bands did that in the early 2000s to really just kind of, it was such a big thing to be a subgenre then, because you didn't want to be new metal. Right. And, you know, it hurt metal's growth for a long time.
Yeah,
you know, for
I agree.
A long time. And now that's kind of fading away a little bit. You know, you're seeing more crossover tours of bands touring with each other that wouldn't have, say, 10 years ago. So I think that's a huge thing for metal to need and to want to continue into the future. If not, you know, it's just gonna disappear. And, you know, I also think that too with a lot of the older bands, you know, the big ones too, the Megadeths, these ones, you know, they've held such a tight grip on metal for so long. The Machine Heads, all these bands, you know, and it's, you know, they make it really hard for new bands to really find their way, you know. And thankfully social media is kind of cracking that egg, and, you know, new bands are getting found and stuff like that, because it was a long period where, you know, the scene wasn't being expanded, and, you know, all the help a new band needs weren't being met, you know. So it's nice to see the newer bands that are coming up. They're taking everybody out on tour and just really building a camaraderie in heavy music, which we need.
Now, I know I brought up a couple minutes ago, man, like, you know, the public's dwindling attention span, and I talked about whether LPs and EPs, yeah, I mean, like, if an LP still makes sense. When you guys sit down and write an album, man, do you have an idea in your head, you know, because of those, because people just aren't listening and consuming music the way they used to in the past? You sit down and think about, you know, what the right number is of songs or the right amount of minutes that an album should be? Is that something that enters the equation at all? You know what I mean? Because, you know, sometimes that, geez, maybe people aren't going to explore the deeper tracks. Is 10 songs too many? Is 5 songs too few? You know what I mean? Does that kind of stuff enter the equation?
You know, I think it does to a certain aspect. Like, you know, you obviously have a record budget that you was the amount of money you can spend. So that plays, that's the number one factor. Right. You know, that we've always been stopped by. Like, if we want to do 12 songs, no, there's not a budget, we need to do 10. Right. So, you know, I think it can help, because, you know, I think in the late 90s, albums were getting too long. Bands were making double disc and just trying to figure out any way to sell stuff. So then it became like, people were like, oh, I'm getting an album with like 3 cool songs and the rest sucks. So now I think the perceived vision of bands is less songs, not as long as songs, and just really put the best shit that you can come up with on a record. Because, you know, I look at that as being like, why would you just create filler songs just to make the record longer? You know, that doesn't appease anybody at the end of the day. Right. You're pissed, the fans are pissed, it's all, you know. So now it's like, for us, we've kind of always done 10 songs. That's like our wheelhouse. That's a number. Like to me that's a perfect record. It's like, you know, unless you're you know, Led Zeppelin or Queen and you're making these opera tracks and things, or Ghost, you know, could probably do it, you know, then give them the Forever album. But to us metalheads, nice, get to the point. Don't need a bunch of intros. Just fucking give the headbanging at once.
Yeah,
You know?
get it going. Yeah.
Yeah, that was us. You know, we looked at it more like we want our songs to be repeated rather than you just listening to a shitload of them. So
Yeah.
you know, this hopefully creates that hunger and the need for more rather than, well, I'm overwhelmed.
Now let me get a couple of my subjective questions in here, man. And of course, these are all
Cool.
like obviously like you know, strictly your own views or whatever. From a fan standpoint, you've obviously been to lots of shows. Is there anybody that you've seen in the live setting that has really blown you away and has stuck with you? You know, speak about some of your favorite shows.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's not really heavy metal, but one I just saw was Crosses. That's Chino Moreno's side project that he's doing, and it was probably one of the best live show things I've ever seen in my life. Like the light show, the atmosphere, the vibe of the musicians on stage, it was so badass. It's where I envisioned him being, because I love the Deftones so much, but this was like even better than that. So that was an incredible concert I saw this year. Again, you know, I saw, you know, Body Box and you know, 200 Stab Wounds. They're incredible live. I got to see Nails earlier this year, which blew me away. I'd always been wanting to see them. They kind of had that hiatus, and man, they smashed it. And you know, probably one of my most memorable ones would be probably Pantera's Sepultura Prong.
Yeah.
You know, I think that must have been 93, 94. And man, that was like all three bands at the peak of their careers.
Yeah.
And it was just one band after another pushing each other to be better than the last, and, you know, to fuck the place up more than the last band did. That one, you know, really sticks with me forever. And also the New Year's Evil that Ozzy did in downtown Arizona in 2001. That was Soulfly, Megadeth, Slayer, Pantera, and Ozzy, like all on one show. Probably the only time those bands have all been on the same stage together. You know, you're talking 5 of the biggest influences in creating heavy music today. So that one will definitely always stick with me.
Yeah, I always get excited, man. Like anytime I see Max like tease anything about doing anything like Nail Bomb related. That Nail Bomb album, man. You know, it was only a one-off, or did they do 2 albums? Did Nail Bomb do 2 albums?
No, it was just one album, and then I think they put out a live record.
Fuck, that album was fucking incredible, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
it's cool to see it kind of garner more respect today than it did back then. You know, it's like everybody kind of is searching for those rare records like that, you know, and that thing was so ahead of its time, and so man, it's such a pissed off album. Like
that's what I like about it. Yeah,
so good. And to see him playing it again is cool. You know, it's unfortunate Alex Newport isn't as pissed off as he used to be, and you know, doesn't really do well with the live performance stuff, you know. So but to have his praise and allowing Max to perform those songs live for people that haven't seen it is incredible, because I believe they're doing a whole festival run this year in Europe with Nail Bomb. So, you know, they brought in the Pig Destroyer guys to be a part of that, which I think is the coolest fit for that band, you know. So
it works.
It's dope, man. And you know, that was my first time ever going on stage, actually, was that Nail Bomb performance in Holland in '94, I think it was. And,
I remember Max had the purple hair.
Yeah, man. And you know, all those legends that were gathered for
I watched it. Like,
it's incredible, like the amount of talent that was brought in and the legends that were a part of that, man. That was a cool show too as well.
And then what about being and you know, we're grown men, I hate to use the word starstruck, but in your travels around, man, has there been anybody that you've gotten a chance to meet that's really kind of been kind of surreal, kind of blown you away?
I mean, my 2 big ones are Mike Patton and Chino Moreno. Again, I think you know, Chino is probably my biggest influence in terms of like stage rock, and the early Deftones stuff was just mind blowing to me. And you know, Mike Patton, obviously, just the vocal range that guy has is incredible. And you know, I don't get starstruck too often. You know, I think I was thrown into it real young. Anytime I've met Metallica has been a surreal moment because, you know, they were such a huge part in my growing up. And,
Sure.
you know, Jason Newsted coming from our bar to Metallica created a really cool in to be, you know, meeting Metallica. I think it was like 1989. I saw them in Arizona, and you know, I got to go backstage and meet them. And Kirk signs in my book, "You won't really understand how big this is today,
Right.
but you will later." You know,
Right.
and
Yeah.
as I grew up, I always thought about it because I was just a little kid not knowing shit, and here I am, like meeting, you know,
That's
the legends
crazy.
of legends. And
Yeah, that's
yeah,
crazy.
man, it's cool. And you know, I think Ozzy's another one that does that. You know, we did so many Ozfests, and him and Sharon became like my second rock mom and dads. You know,
Yeah.
we were with their kids and us. It was kind of always like, you know, hanging out, but no matter how much we hung, it was still Ozzy. You know, it's like
Right.
I went and stayed at their house in England for like a week, you know, and here I am, and you know, I'm this, you know, totally different type of person. I'm crazier, you know, I'm more wild, but you know, you're in Ozzy's house, so you just kind of you're on your best behavior. And, you know, you're sitting there at his table in his kitchen, and he's over there making fries for you. You're just like, you know, it's so surreal, but it was just like, you know, everyday kind of things that were happening back then that were just a trip at the time, but now even more crazy to me to look back and think about, like, damn, that was some shit, you know?
You know, you've mentioned some great thrash metal bands. Obviously, we're talking about Metallica, man. The big four, as we know it, you know, throughout the world, is Metallica, Megadeth, Anthrax, Slayer. If we were to wipe those guys off the board and needed to start a new big four and couldn't use those guys, who do you see as that? Who do you see as the next four after those guys?
I mean, even into that four, I would sorry, but Anthrax, get the hell out of there. And Sepultura, obviously, if they had not broken up, I think you'd put there.
Definitely.
What they did on Arise, Beneath Remain, those will never be. I mean, those are damn, you know,
landmark albums. Landmark albums.
Yeah.
Seminal.
But for the next four, you know, I would obviously, I'd put Sepultura in there, Pantera for sure. I know these aren't genuine thrash, but to me, it's just the big four of metal in general. You know, and I think Testament has done a lot of great things. They've continued, they've been consistent throughout the years. So I definitely put them up there. And, you know, probably Overkill as well. I'm
glad you said them. I'm glad you said them. Yeah.
I respect the ones that kept going through those hard times in the 90s and didn't quit and then come back when their name got bigger again later, you know, like I think that's a big determining factor is about it being, you know, over this long span of being consistent. And, you know,
consistency is the big word with them. Yeah. I mean, dude, they're like fucking 21 albums into their career, man. And it's just been, I mean, you know, you never get a clunker from those guys, you know, it's what you see is what you get, man. You know, I mean,
it's always ripping. They're always great live. They're always touring. They're always, like you said, putting out new records. And I think they deserve quite a bit more respect in the thrash world.
And now, as an artist, man, like we see this happen a lot, and it's almost like a damned if you do, damned if you don't. As an artist, sometimes if you tweak your sound a little bit, you know, you piss off your hardcore fans. But then it also seems like if you're not tweaking your sound, people say the band's not evolving. Every album sounds the fucking same. You know what I mean? So like you're damned if you do, damned if you don't sometimes, man. But like, you know, how do you stay true to your sound and still grow as a musician? Or as a band, I should say, you know what I mean? Because it does seem like a double-edged sword. It's a very slippery slope sometimes. Like when Metallica, you know, lets their foot off the gas a little bit and they start doing any ballads or they work with Lou Reed or they do anything, they're instantly sellouts. They're not the band that they were. But then if you make every album and it sounds like Master of Puppets, every album, then people fucking knock you for that too.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a hard, you know, part to navigate. But for like us particularly, we never want to make the same record again. It'll always have components that are us because that's just who we are. You know, you can't get rid of that.
Sure.
But the more I think older you become or more mature you become, things change. You start looking at it as a more artistic formula rather than just like making the heaviest song possible or the fastest song possible or this or that, you know. So for us, it's been a smooth growth for us to like change the music, grow with it. And a lot of those bands, you know, they started out really huge with their first and second records.
Yeah.
For us, we don't have that monster record that everybody compares or wants us to recreate. So we've gotten bigger as our times went by with each album we put out. So
Right.
we have this freedom and this comfort to be like, we didn't sell 1 million albums with this one, so we can do something different, you know? So they kind of get trapped in that where they have to recreate that or, you know, keep that vibe that blew them up, you know, that
Right.
comes from
Right.
record label pressure, metalheads pressuring them, etc. So, you know, we just don't have that. So we're free to do what we want. And, you know, I think a band does take a risk if you put out, you know, Ride the Lightning and then you try to put out Load.
Right.
You know, that is a huge difference, and you should
It's a
take
leap.
some shit.
Yeah.
You should take some shit for that because you know what, you were created and built up by these people, and then with this album, you're saying fuck those people.
Yeah.
I want to have mainstream people in my
Yeah.
world, you know, or I'm
Yep.
here for the bucks now, you know. So
Yep.
it really just depends on the band, you know, and how they carry themselves. Metallica, obviously, you know, they did a smart strategic move because, yeah, it is difficult or being a 60-year-old dude playing fast as shit, trying to look angry and mean
Right.
while you're a multi-millionaire,
Right.
you're a grandpa, you know.
Yeah.
So I get that transformation, and they actually, now when you sit back and look at it, did it really smartly to
Yeah.
continue and be a band forever, you know. It's yeah, shit. It's a slippery process, but at least they kind of showed a little bit of a route you can take.
And now you, you know, unlike your pops, you know, Max has had his hand in a lot of different projects, man. Are you one of those guys that just likes to keep a singular focus? Because you're not somebody like I'll have guys on here that be in 3, 4 different bands, and sometimes I'm even thinking, how the fuck do they find the goddamn time, man? There's only so many hours in a day. I mean, but you know, I mean, but INCITE seems to be your singular focus. Like obviously, Max, we mentioned a bunch of his projects: Nail Bomb, Cavalera Conspiracy, Soulfly, you know, Killer Be Killed. You know what I mean? He's involved in a lot of stuff, man. Do you just have a different way of working? You prefer just to be doing one project?
Oh no, I mean, I would do endless amounts of stuff. You know, being Max, it's so much easier for him to start a band.
Granted,
you know, the second he starts a band, it's going to get signed by a record label. They'll be in the studio already.
People want to work with him. Yeah.
He doesn't have to tour with it. He can just put it out and be like, here you go, you know, enjoy this shit. For me, you know, that's a hard thing. Like I'm here just every day fighting to keep INCITE alive, to keep INCITE signed to a record deal, you know, to do all those things. It's a big thing coming from zero to there. When, you know, you've created Sepultura, you can go and do anything you want forever. So and focus for sure. You know, I think to bands that do that, some can maintain it, but a lot suffer on their main projects or suffer because they're just doing too much shit. There's only so many lyrical emotions you can write before you're just writing stale shit or repeating yourself, you know.
So going through the motions.
Especially the older you get, you know, you don't have all those triggers that you have when you're 19 or 20 that you're just fucking mad about everything, you know.
Right.
Someone crosses the street wrong in front of your day is ruined. You can go, you know. Now it's more, you know, like, oh, I'm mad because I paid a bill and they didn't fucking ring it up right, you know. It just changes. And for me, this is enough emotional dump. This is enough being gone that I found a good comfort place. But you know, I'm always open. If I found, you know, some cool dudes that wanted to do some cool shit, I would be obliged to try and see what happens.
Now, I usually save this one for towards the end. Some people are very definitive in their answer. Some people have to mull it a little bit, man. But if I were to take Richie Cavalera, drop him on a desert island, can only take one album, what's the desert island album?
Oh, I mean, I would have to go Ride the Lightning. You know, I think that has just such a good balance of all the things, instrumentals and ripping good vocals, things you could sing. And, you know, I think that would probably be my go-to in terms of like a heavy metal record.
And you didn't even really have to think about it for that long either, man.
No, they're you know those records are what they are. I mean, if you're a metalhead, those early Metallicas have a staple, and anybody that listens to heavy music, you've at least heard it, you've
Yeah.
at least you bought it, whatever it is, and those to me have always been something I can listen to any day. I could go a year without hearing it, and then bam, listen to it, and it's brand new to me again. You know, so I respect what they created. You know, there'd be so many bands not here without those albums.
What do you think about technology? Obviously now, like I talked about earlier, the physical product is not as prevalent as it once was. Everybody is out there now streaming music. Fuck, they're not even putting CD players in cars anymore. It's fucking, it's fucking crazy or whatever. But technology in general, though, man, it does give us a little bit more of a look behind the curtain. You know, whereas our especially in extreme metal, we used to not be able to really know a lot about these guys. You know what I mean? We'd see them on the back of an album. We'd get what we cut out of magazines or whatever, man. But now we can really get in depth and really find out quite a bit, man. A good or bad thing?
I mean, it is a good thing because, you know, now you can go to somebody's Twitter and see how their mind thinks. You know,
Right.
you're in this day and age, it's like you want role models to be good people, not just in their world of performing, but also in who they are as a person.
Yes.
You know, like I think that is a good thing. It was fun to idolize these people, but it's like this dude might go home and beat his fucking lady and, you know, piss on people and not give two fucks.
Right.
So that part I definitely appreciate, and I love that aspect. You know, I think no one should be held to just being special because they write music or act or fucking play sports or anything. We're all kind of people, and we all should have the same grasp on what, you know, is presented to people. So to me, I love that fact. It does get a little scary because yes, people can blur the lines sometimes between like being a friend or being a metalhead listener, etc. You know, I get people that I would respond to in a message on Facebook or Instagram, and then within two conversations we're perceived to be good friends. You know, so that makes it difficult sometimes because I'm a person that I don't like to just, you know, I'm a positive. I love to talk. I love to meet new people and shit. But like, you know, there's got to be a little bit of a balance. That's why some people don't respond to comments or messages because they know that line can get crossed and feel weird. But you know, it's a place where you can protect yourself or, you know, give everybody every detail of your life, which I like to do. You know, I like people to see that I'm just a normal dude. I got a lady, I live, I pay bills, I go ride a bike sometimes, I fucking work. You know, I think that helps people resonate to be like, oh, damn, this dude's fucking like I am, you know, just trying to get through the day and get through life like everybody fucking else, you know.
Now, obviously, man, like you are still a young guy, but as I said, you have been doing this, you know, for quite a long time, man. The band has just passed the 20-year mark or whatever. It seems like there's new music popping up all the time. The streaming platforms certainly don't have any shortage of music. It's easier now than ever to put your music out. Whether it's successful or not is a different thing, but everybody can put albums up on iTunes or whatever, yada, yada, yada. Like you said before, you don't really need like labels and all that kind of stuff anymore. If for a young band starting out, man, you know, speaking to somebody that might be starting a band, man, you know, what's the best avenue to take? You know, I mean, if you're speaking to somebody like young out there and they want to know, geez, what avenue do I take? Because you do still see bands making videos, putting them up on YouTube. Is it about that? Is it about recognition? Is it about getting on a great tour? Is it about, you know, I mean, where does a band start in today's musical world?
To me, the number one thing, first of all, you're going to have patience. You know, this is such a world where everybody expects something right away. And you think all these bands that are huge just magically were just huge all of a sudden. It's like, no, these dudes, if you research, did 10 years in a van, living in their mom's basement, eating Snickers bars.
You're just seeing them now, right? You're just seeing them now, but they probably have paid their dues. Yeah.
Fucking A, man. You can find a lot of those old videos of any band really and see them in a bar sucking.
Yeah.
You know, so that to me, number one, if it doesn't work right away, don't be disheartened. Number two, play. You have to fucking play, whether it's a local show, whether it's the town next door. You know, that stuff in my day was so hard because you'd have to find a club, you'd have to call them, get in touch with this person. Now you can literally have every single rep in the world at your fingertips with Facebook and Instagram and clubs. You know, it's so different now and easier to find these things and book a show and get playing and swap shows, you know, with other bands. But that to me is the most important. And if you're playing a lot, the things will garner themselves. The attention will come if you're growing and you're doing things right, you know. But a lot of the good bands I've seen that were like a local band, or they're coming up, they're the next big thing. They just quit when it gets hard, or the members start to leave when they're not famous in a week, you know. So
right.
That stuff's all the challenge this day and age. That's why I think it's harder now than ever for a band to really succeed. You know, even successful bands now are having members leave, you know, because they're having to tour more, and you know, it's becoming harder to be a touring band. But if you can be a band that's just making music and putting it out there, your avenues are endless.
And now shout out the other guys in the band, man. You know, do you feel like now in Incite you've got a good stable lineup and everybody's rowing in the same direction, so to speak?
Definitely. You know, those early years were exactly what I was just explaining. You know, guys being disheartened if after a year of being in the band they weren't famous, you know, or you know, rich beyond their beliefs. You know, it's like no one is. We're playing to 12 people. You know, it's like who do you expect to be rich? So you know, those years were hard. But you know, Lennon and L have been with me now. It's been me, Lennon, and L since 2013. You know, and Lane has been with us now for a couple of years, and we're on the same page. We all believe in this. We all have equal parts ownership of what we're doing. So if it does get big, we all embellish in that success. Or if it fails, we all take that hit, you know. So it does feel finally like it's all come together. And that's why I think everything else is coming together, like the manager, the agency, this, that, you know. That's how music is, man. You could sit for years and have nothing happen, and then all of a sudden one thing starts to another thing, and that's usually how most bands become that next level or that next echelon of bands, is because they had just everything kind of fall into place, man.
Well, I think you also have a nice thing at your fingertips too, because like whether or not she's management to you, your band specifically, or not, you still at least have that good foundation with Max, and especially with Gloria, man, you know, who really know the ins and outs of the business.
Definitely.
That's an asset. Yeah.
That it is. And that to me was something that probably hurt me in the beginning. Was I wanted to push that as far away from me as I could.
Yeah.
Because like I said, metalheads in 04, 05 were fucking intense, man. And if you had any association to somebody else in any way, shape, or form, you were hated. You're fucking giving this, you're doing this. So it was like, I got to do this from nothing. And, you know, I'll ask for a tour and he can throw me on tour, and then that's it. You're on your own. Go figure out how to make it to the shows. Go figure out how to push your gear.
Right.
You know, I've never had a crew guy. I've never not been in a van. I've never toured on a bus as my band. I've never done almost everything. You know, we've been grinding it out since day one. So for me, that was like, I had to be that way. But now it's like, these kids are like, I'm fucking Corey's son. I'm Robert Trujillo's son. It's like a badge of honor now. And it's so different from when I was going, you know. It's like, it's crazy to see. So now I'm not as afraid to at least, you know, acknowledge it, be a part of it. Because I'm being set up to hopefully be the Cavalera metal maker of the future, so the old man can take a little bit of a break, and then my little brother's behind me. You know, there's nothing wrong. We're the first to really have that dynasty of a family associated with heavy metal. You see it in acting and sports and fucking every other thing. Why can't it work in this? And we've learned to, like, just enjoy being a part of something that has never really happened before, you know.
Do you think there's ever a point in time where we will see, I guess never say never would probably be the right answer, but do you feel like there'll ever be a time when you and your brothers will be in a band together and it will be a full Cavalera band?
I don't know. You know, we've talked about, I think Zion
because obviously Zion plays drums for people that don't know, and Igor is a bass player. Well, you said he plays everything, so he's capable. You are a vocalist. Did you play any instruments?
No, I would just be the runaround guy. Max would play guitar and vocals. But you know, we've done 2 songs together, all of us on
Yeah.
Soulfly Records, and
Yeah.
we've performed them live quite a few times, which was cool. You know, to like have the whole fam join up on there.
Yeah.
And, like,
Fuck
you
yeah.
know, it's cool. And we did so many of those Maximum Cavalera tours in, you know, the mid 2000s, and no one really gave a shit. And now that we don't do them, it's like it's such a big thing. Like everybody's dying to have it. We did this recently, this Dynasty show where it was Max and all of his bands and all of our bands on one show in Phoenix, and it was fucking packed. It was a rager, and it was kind of like, man, we've been doing these things for years and no one gave a shit. But now it's just like, it's the perfect climate for something like that, where people are like, damn, this is fucking cool. Not like, oh, this is what, you know, like the whole mindset has shifted. And sometimes that's how it rolls. And then you just, you know, shift yourself to produce what is working at the time. So we're looking, you know, maybe to do another one of those tours and at least get all 3 of us on stage in different aspects, you know.
I look at Max as such an icon, man. He's been doing this for 40 fucking years, man. And of course, you being there for so much of it, man. What's the one thing, you know, if you could boil it all down, the one thing you think you've learned the most from either interacting with Max, watching Max, you know, seeing his whole career, man? Like, what's the one thing that you would take away from, geez, you know what I mean? This rubbed off on me. That, you know, this is what, you know, I've learned that's been the most vital from Max.
Man, just being super chill and nice.
Yeah.
You know, like he has never broken character and been mean or been a dick.
Yeah.
You know, and
he's
dealt with some, and he's dealt with some shitty fucking people, man. From, you know, the way the other guys handled the Sepple breakup to Bobby Burns to fucking Mark Ritt, you know, like all these fucking dicks that had nothing without him, and him giving them such an opportunity that not one of them went on to do anything else, you know, ever.
Right.
He kept his cool. They went in the press and talked shit all day, and he just kind of did his thing and kept making music, and that was his way of being like, fuck you, you know, like that to me was such just an eye-opening thing of just keeping ego in check, keeping a head on your shoulders and not getting sucked into you know, feuds of media and nonsense, you know.
Yeah. I like how you said earlier, man, that like we're going to keep the thing going so the old man can step off a little bit. I don't know, man. I don't know if Max is capable of stepping off, man. Every time I turn around, he's putting out something or starting up a new project, man. Like Max is like pedal to the metal all the time, man.
It's incredible, man.
Yeah.
It's incredible to me to think of all of, you know, and he writes every single riff that he's ever really had. I mean, it's incredible that he's able to do that, make 2-3 records a year, tour, you know, 10 months a year. You know, it's insane. We always say, yeah, he's gonna fucking die on stage. That's where that's where he wants to go. Yeah, it is.
It's got to be pretty inspiring. Yeah. So for people that want to tap in and they want to know what's going on with INCITE, obviously social media is so prevalent nowadays, man. Where's the best place to find out what's cracking with INCITE?
Yeah, just like you said, man. Instagram, Facebook. You know, that's where we've kind of went to. You know, that's where we can literally comment with each other, message with each other, and be hands-on when people want to get details or ask questions or see where the hell the band's going, what we've done, etc. That to us is a great place. And all the other ones, Bands in Town, Spotify, all that shit. You know, it's the way it is now. And you know, you can message me on any one of them sites, and I'll let you know what's up.
Yeah, and so just to kind of summarize here, so fans should expect new INCITE for sure sometime this summer.
Yeah, they've said May or June. We're gonna have a brand new full-length record. Single, first one should be next month, and then hit you every month with a brand new one. I'm so fucking pumped for this album. It's never hit me like this one has, man. So I think people are gonna really just trip, dude.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. And of course, as the son of a legend, man, and I may quote you on this. Obviously, like you can tell by looking at the picture of my own legendary father up there that I am Diamond David Lee Roth Jr., right?
Yes.
You can tell. You can tell.
I agree. I knew you were somebody serious when I saw your face pop up.
See, man?
Hell yeah.
See, the offspring of a legend can recognize the offspring of another legend.
Definitely. There's a vibe that's created
There's
when
a vibe. There's a vibe.
the
Hey, hey, listen, man. It was really a pleasure getting the chance to meet and chat with you, man. Seriously, man. I love the Cavalera family, man. I love everything that you guys put your thumbprint on, man. Everything that comes out that you guys roll out, man, as a family, individually, man, is just fucking awesome, man. I'm there for fucking all of it, man. I've loved Max, man, ever since he burst onto the scene, man. And it's great to see that his offspring, you know, that all you boys are out there flying the flag for metal, man. It's really inspiring, man. It's great to see, man. And wish you a lot of luck on the album. Definitely keep in touch, man. When it gets closer to the album, we'll get on here and chop it up again, man. I'd love to.
Yeah, no, let's please do, because I want to be able to talk about the songs and the titles and how all this shit came together, because it's one of the funnest records we've made. It's one of the coolest things going on with everything. And appreciate you, man, spreading the word.
And I am working on Max. I spoke to Gloria, man, and she said we're looking good for maybe like mid-February. He's got some stuff going on, and I know he probably gets hit up with a lot of requests, man. But I'm angling for a Max interview just to let the subscribers know. I'm working on it.
I got you. I'll let her know too. Yeah, that's how it is these days, man.
Yeah,
it's all about
I appreciate the shit out of you doing this, man. It was awesome chopping it up with you, man. Thanks, Richie. Really, man. Appreciate it, man.
Thanks so much, metalheads. You as well. I'll see you all in February, March, man, on the Cavalera tour. I'll be flipping some cotton, gearing up for the new record release, and hyping people up. So, be well, brother.
I appreciate it, brother. Stay in touch, man. We'll talk soon, brother.
Fucking all
right,
metal.
Later, Richie. There he goes, folks. Another son of a legend. That is the great Richie Cavalera of the Cavalera clan, the first family of metal, if you will, man. The son of the great Max Cavalera, man, one of the true forefathers of extreme metal music, man, a guy that is always putting out kick-ass fucking music, man. The man takes no fucking prisoners, man. Everything is balls to the wall, fucking heavy. There's never been a hiccup. There's never been a stutter step. There's never been a clunker in the Max Cavalera resume. And the boys are carrying on that same tradition, man. His sons, Zion, Igor, and of course, Richie, who we just spoke to, man. The front man for the amazing metal band INCITE. That's INCITE. Like we're going to incite a fucking riot. Make sure you get that right, because that's important. And do go check out, man. I'm excited, man. A new album coming out, as you heard, dropping sometime this summer. Richie said May. Their last album was 2022's Wake Up Dead, but all their fucking shit, man, in true Cavalera form, fucking bangers, every single fucking one of them, man. Kick-ass fucking albums, man. That's all the boys do, man. And whatever projects they're in, man, they've learned well. You know, being the sons of Max Cavalera, man, they've been raised that, you know, they've been bred, they've been fucking immersed in this metal world for so fucking long, man. That you know, they have been influenced by, in my opinion, one of the greatest, man, Max Cavalera, man. So if you're waiting and pining for new music from INCITE, you can go back and obviously check out all the old stuff, man. While we're waiting, man, I was listening to Wake Up Dead today. Just amazing, fucking heavy, fucking get you ready to fucking go, man. And it sounds like Richie is super proud of this album, man. I'm looking forward to it, man. Been a couple years since we've heard anything from the boys. So, it's great to see that Richie is so inspired and so excited, man. 20 years into this, man. And, you know, even that speaks volumes, man. I mean, just being, you know, being in a band and doing it for this long, man. The whole Cavalera family, man, they're just so inspiring, man. They're always, you know, so creatively prolific, man, and just rolling out stuff and always being out on the road. And they do it as a family, man, as a unit, man, which is super inspiring, man. I mean, the kids are out, you know, I mean, with them, and you know, I hate to make light of it and call them the Partridge family of metal, but you know, that's kind of the, you know, that's kind of the analogy that I kind of, you know, best sums up what they do, man. They're close knit, you know, they're a tight fucking clan, and they watch each other's back, and they're out there doing it the right way, man. You know, gracious and amazing to the fucking fans always, man, with the meet and greets and just how interactive they are. And always kick-ass fucking merch when you go see them, man. And I mean, and of course the shows themselves, man. I mean, you're literally, you know, when you're watching the Cavaleras do their thing, you're watching a family of legends, man. Even the boys, man. You know, destined for fucking greatness, man. But at the same time, very much carving out their own paths. You know, I think Richie alluded to in the interview, man, you know, some rock star fucking offspring just kind of get by, you know, on their parents' laurels. Not the case with the Cavaleras, man, all putting their own thumbprint on the music business as well. Richie fronting his own band, man, INCITE. And as I said, they've been doing it for a long time, man, and they fucking kick a lot of fucking ass, man. And so super happy to have him on, man. Honor talking to him, man. Thank you to Richie Cavalera, frontman for INCITE. I'm going to give myself a look because I didn't get a chance to do that, man, just to make sure that the Roth coif is still in order. You know what? I'm enjoying the view so much, I'm going to take another look. And you know, kids, it's a new year, but it's still the same old product. When the coif gets a little fucking outrageous and I need to tame it, right there. New year, same product, obviously same results. Now, granted, you'll never look this good. We know that's damn near impossible. Rockstar genetics, folks. Don't hate, congratulate. That's all you can do. But you can get this in your own life and step your game up levels. Just not to this level. But that being said, man, no harm in trying. And of course, this is the part where I shamelessly promote. Make sure to like and follow Pod Scum on Facebook for updates on new episodes and who will be on said episodes. Obviously, I'm all the entertainment that you should need, but ultimately, I'm a realist, and I know that you're tuning in for the guests. But don't get it twisted. I know that you guys want to look at Reckless Rexx. And who wouldn't? I mean, come on. I got the same smoldering good looks as the old man. I'm sure Richie understands. He's the offspring of a rock legend. That's why we got on so well. And also make sure if you're on this channel and your peepers are watching this episode, make sure to look up there, top of your screen, like, subscribe, smash that notification bell to stay tapped in. And this is where the best conversations are happening right here on Pod Scum. And they will continue to happen on this show. It's always kick-ass content. It's always the best fucking guests, man. It's always unfiltered and raw. 51 years old, you know I'm not editing a goddamn thing. Life is happening. And I am recording it as it happens for posterity's sake. And I'm a big fan of posterity. And plus, I don't know how to edit. So there's also that. I'm very, despite having a podcast, I'm very technologically flawed. Let's just leave it at that. And so with that being said, again, let me extend my deepest gratitude to Richie Cavalera for coming on here today, man. That was a real treat, man. Appreciate him doing the podcast. And let me end this with the words that I used last year. It's a new year, as I said, but the slogan has not changed. And that is, remember to take it easy and keep it sleazy.